DRA has published a document which includes the fines from players from 2023 all the way through to 2026, all the different places it's happened, the results, the outcomes, the lot. We're going to run through a couple of those and pick out some of the key stories and have a little look at them. Now, you'll see here, this document, I'm not showing you something that you shouldn't see, I'm not showing you something behind the curtains. This is a public-facing document. We're just going to run through it and pick out a few of the interesting stories and talking points. So if you want to see this one, I'll put the link down in the description. The first thing I find really interesting is this column here, the events column, because a lot of people believe that the World Championships, the TV events are where the regulation applies. It applies all the way through. The regulation through the DRA is on the WDF, it's on the ADC, it's on the Modus Super Series, and it's also on the PDC. So if you get suspended by the DRA, you are out of all these events. You're not playing the WDF, you're not playing PDC, you're not playing the AD, you're not doing anything of any sort of note, other than maybe some local events, and even them sometimes are under DRA regulation. The other thing that's interesting to note here is tour card holders being fined outside in amateur events. You are under those regulations and obligations, regardless of if it's a World Championships or your local singles event. You need to act professionally. So let's have a look at what sort of things would stop professional action, which is finable. So one of the things that comes up quite a lot is the failure to mark, and you'll notice that it's actually going up as we go through the years in regards to this. One thing that's interesting here as well to pick out is comment on social media. That's very, very important as well. It's not just your conduct in person, your social media conduct is also monitored. This is what we're talking about here. This was that case we covered a few years ago. Adam Smith-Neil in an amateur event. There is some more in regards to amateur events. Now, this is something you'll see quite a bit. Reckless throwing of darts. What does that mean? Well, reckless throwing of darts is where you're having your throw, but you just chuck the last one away. Or you might throw it underarm, for example, something that is not in control. Now, the reason that's important is, remember, there's a marker stood next to the board. There's a safety concern here as well. So if you are not throwing that dart in an overarm, controlled, deliberate fashion, in that example I did there, I threw the last one away. It was more of a push. I turned my head away. So that could be deemed as recklessly throwing of a dart because I'm not fully in control of that action. So that becomes a finable offence. And we'll see that quite a bit. And mostly we see that through frustration, players' frustration. We see them, don't we, hammer the dart at the board at the end if they've been missing the shots or, you know, so be careful with that one, guys, because that one's coming up quite a bit. It seems to be that they're a little bit hot on that right now. Again, social media coming up quite regular with a couple of fines. Again, something that appears to be quite hot on at the moment. Failure to mark, we're still at £100 here. This was back in 2024. Let's say that will go up as we go through the various fines. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick out some of the ones which are quite interesting, like this one here. Aaron Monk, forfeit a match. Players' Championship 20 and Players' Championship 2022, fine £400. Now, you need to complete your matches. Now, this goes down to the fact, especially now on Pro Tours as well, there's a lot of betting regulation involved. There's a lot of, you know, certainly now with the 4 streaming boards as well, you know, there's odds that get generated on this. There's people that are watching, you know, for the integrity, matches need to be completed. So you can find yourself liable to DRA action if you're not completing your matches. This has always been a rule as well. This is not something new. A couple of interesting cases here in the case of Prakash and Andy Jenkins. Look at the size of those fines. 17.5 and over 17.5 in regards to costs. So lengthy bans and also fines to be paid. Now, looking at both of those two players, the length of those bans and the size of those fines, if not paid, they will not be able to play again in any of these events that I've talked about. Looking at their ages of both players, I would safe to say that both of those could be the ends for those in these sort of professional environments in regards to being able to continue to play. But that's speculation. It's not fact. I could be wrong, but I'd be surprised to see them both back in regards to that. This one's an interesting one. Failure to damage hotel room. I wonder what he did. Like that's quite interesting. Speculate away. Give me some wrong answers. Like wrong answers in the comments. What damage? I reckon he fell over in the shower and pulled the shower rail off when he fell down. This one you'll remember, European Tour in Germany. This was when the crowd was giving Scott Williams a bit of stick and he turned around and gave him the finger. Remember that one? £1,000 and a formal warning. Okay, probably about right. You know, when I was playing on the Pro Tour and the DRA was really sort of kicking into things, a lot of the time the fines would be very similar to first round prize money. In a European Tour, that is under first round prize money. So I kind of, yeah, okay. I'm kind of okay with that in a sense. That's fine. Plus previous, you know, that's the other thing as well. They look at previous cases as well to see if there's sort of any patterns of similar behaviour. More reckless throwing of a dart. These in Players' Championship and a European Tour qualifier. Price has gone up now. You see here, £500. It's the same as the failure to mark. That's gone up £150. If you do it multiple times, that price will continue to rise. So you'll continue to get those sort of increases in regards to that. Again, social media posts, WWF World Championship, 250 quid. You know, you're not making a lot of that World Championship. The last thing you want to be doing is forfeiting some of those rights. This one's an interesting one. So we covered this over Christmas time. Dom Taylor, the World Championship, was pulled out, wasn't he, after failing a drugs test for the second time. He's had a 6-month suspension, which he's served now. That is done. He had to pay, physically come out 1,275. But we now also have confirmation here from this document that Dom Taylor did not receive his prize money. Now, we know the prize money was taken off the rankings, so he didn't get the ranking money, which is why he then went on to lose his tour card at the benefit of Marion van der Boogaard, who actually went and reached a Pro Tour final recently. It's crazy how it spirals and snowballs, isn't it? But the £25,000 prize money didn't go to him, so he still had all those costs and everything for the World Championships. So we look at the £25,000 in loss of earnings, we look at the £1,200 there, and also the commitment to being in the World Championship financially. We could say that this estimates around about £28,000 hit for Dom Taylor. So Cameron Menzies, repeatedly punching on table stage. We know that incident, we saw it, the firework, everything that came with it. Now, 4-month suspension. Now, this is exactly, if you go back to the incident, and I spoke about it here on the channel, this is exactly what I expected to see. A suspended sentence. And it's suspended until the 23rd of the 7th, 2027. So what this means is there is a 4-month ban, and if he's a naughty boy, within this time frame of up to 2027, July, that 4-month ban will kick in and he will be banned. So needs to be on his best behaviour. He also had a £2,500 fine, which is quite a significant amount. So sizable amount of money there in regards to that. So more reckless throwing of darts here. You see that, and failure to mark seems to be sort of the most sort of common case in regards to these. It's key to remember, if you go to events, whether you go to challenge tours, ADCs, whatever it is, be familiar with the DRA regulations. I love these failure to marks. It's nothing more irritating than when you do a tournament. This is what the WDF did so well recently at the World Masters. When you're playing in a tournament, there's nothing more irritating than standing there for 15, 20 minutes waiting for a marker for your game. So I like the fact they're cramping down on that. Hopefully this continues to filter through the system, and I think 150 is more than fair. More than fair. If anything, I'd like to see that go up, but that's just my selfish player side having a chat. Remember, guys, if you want to read this document at your own pace and check through all the different stories and things, check it out down in the comments description. I'll catch you soon.